All right, we're about to dive into a really powerful village story. It's all about hitting rock bottom, facing a huge crisis, and how a single choice can change absolutely everything.
In this line, this is where our story really kicks off. It's from a farmer's wife, Sunayona. Just feel the desperation in that. They have nothing. But believe it or not, this moment of total despair is actually the spark for something incredible.
So let's set the scene. Our main characters are a farmer named Bola and his wife Sonoya. They're hardworking people, but they're staring down a crisis that's threatening to take away not just their farm, but their whole place in the world.
And right here, you see the heart of the problem. Bola is pleading with a powerful landowner, the Murol. He's saying, look, a flood destroyed the crops, it wasn't my fault. But the Murol's response is just ice cold. I run a business. And just like that, Bola loses his job, his land is given to someone else, and his world just completely falls apart.
A money problem rarely stays just a money problem. Pretty soon, it becomes a social crisis. The local shopkeeper cuts off their credit. A neighbor actually starts taunting them for being poor. They're basically told to get out of the village. The very community that was their home just turns its back. They're completely on their own.
But just when it feels like all hope is gone, an idea starts to take shape. See, this isn't a story about giving up. It's about fighting back with the only thing you have left.
This is Bola's question. And man, it just perfectly captures how hopeless they feel. No money, no food, no friends. What can you possibly do? It's a question that just hangs heavy in the air.
And this is Sunoyona's answer. It's so simple, but it's brilliant. She says, let's cook what we know how to cook, this delicious local dish, and sell it from a little stall. But look at step 2. To even get the money to start, they have to sell their very last possessions, their own kitchen pots and pans. Think about that. They have to sacrifice the tools they use to eat just to build a new future. And you can just feel the shift in Bola, right? He's inspired by his wife's courage. They're not victims anymore, they're fighters, and they're ready to risk what little they have left to reclaim their dignity. But of course, just as they start this tiny new business, a much, much bigger crisis looms on the horizon. And this time, it's not just going to affect them, it's going to put the entire village to the test. It starts with this, a simple, ominous observation. The rain won't stop. And the river, which is the source of life for the village, is quickly becoming a huge threat. The tension is definitely building. And then, bam, the crisis escalates. The water just pours over the fields. And in this moment of really bitter irony, the crops belonging to Ramprasad, the same guy who took Bola's job, are totally wiped out. Goes to show, nature doesn't pick sides. And finally, the disaster hits home for everyone. The water isn't just out in the fields anymore, it's inside their houses. The entire community is now displaced, they're homeless, and they're desperate. Okay, so this is it. This is the moment the whole story hinges on. Bola and Sunoyona, who have just barely started to build something for themselves, are now faced with an absolutely impossible choice. So here's the dilemma, plain and simple. The food they just bought, that is their only capital. It's everything they have. It's their entire future. But outside, the very same people who kicked them out are now starving, cold, and their own cooking fires are out. So what do? Do you protect your investment, or do you protect your community? And this is Sunoyona's incredible wisdom shining through. She gets it. This isn't just about one free meal. It's about earning back their place. She realizes that true wealth isn't the rice they own. It's the trust of their neighbors. She's playing the long game.
And so they do it. They take everything, every single grain of rice, every last ingredient, and they start cooking. For 2 hours straight, they serve free, hot food to everyone. And I mean everyone. The landowner who fired them, the neighbor who mocked them, they literally give away their entire future to feed the present.
What happens next is just wow. It's a powerful lesson in what one selfless act can do. Their choice doesn't ruin them. It leads to a rebirth, not just for them, but for the whole village.
And the first person to have this huge change of heart is the landowner. As Bola hands him a plate of food, the Murol has this massive realization. He finally sees that a person's true worth isn't about profit, it's about generosity when things get tough. And this realization leads him to do something unbelievable. He goes to Bola's home and gives him the deed to the land. Not just his job back, he gives him ownership. Because he now sees that Bola, with his big heart, is the land's true caretaker. And then comes the apology from their neighbor, Kasum, the same woman who made fun of them. But seeing them feed her hungry child, it just breaks through all that cruelty. All she feels now is gratitude and probably a lot of shame.
In the end, that one single act of giving away everything they had, it rebuilt every single bridge that had been burned. They didn't just get their spot in the village back, they became the heart of it.
And Bola's final thought here just sums it all up so beautifully. The real fortune they found wasn't money or land, it was the community they brought back together through kindness. They went from having absolutely no one to having everyone.
And that leaves us with a question to chew on. This story really makes you think about what true wealth is. When it all comes down to it, when everything is on the line, what do you bet on? The stuff you own or the people around you?